Unnugeaq takunnagnalarmiasi ilinniarutigiyaksaraloasi inuuqatipta ilait inuuyungnaarutigiyat siqiniqtarlu tibliqsiarlu ingattarutivallaraangata tuqunanngorpaktuat tajja Inuvialuit tuoqsimayunik qunniarniartusi takunnagaksaraluaqsiuna ilipsingnun quillitaanerpan quviasungnaaraluartugut suanganuna takunnaksimayaqsi atara Roy Goose Inuvingman.
From the earliest times, one of man's strongest needs was food. Without it, there was not life. People would travel great distances, following the animals that provided them with food. Hunting and gathering were the ways people made sure they had enough to eat. When times were good, the people stored their extra food for use later. But sometimes when the people ate food that was stored, they would get sick. Some would die. In the old days, no one knew why. But today, we do know. These people died because of a poison called botulism. David Kasuk is a hunter and trapper from Inuvik. It wasn't too long ago at his Mackenzie camp when he had a scary experience with botulism.
Start getting sick, getting worse all the time. So, I lay down for a little while. Then I was getting more sick at night, towards nighttime. And I was getting too sick and I can't talk no more a little bit. About 9 o'clock at night, about 9:30 maybe, we start to town. Then we only got about halfway. I couldn't breathe no more. So I told Troy, go fast, go fast. So I just keep my mouth open like air go in. Then every time he stop and check me, I tell him, I can't breathe no more when he's stopper on the big lakes over here, this side of Mackenzie. And I told Troy, go. I can't breathe no more. So Troy start going. I tell him to go faster so the air could go in my mouth. Tell him to keep going fast, don't stop. And when I got to Fabi and Danny's, and when we stopped, after that I just black out. Couldn't get no more air. After that I wake up at hospital. They had that little bag like it's pumping air into me.
David Kasuk almost died because he ate poisoned food. Because of improper storage, a food poisoning called botulism was able to grow in the food. The Senior Environmental Health Officer of the Inuvik Regional Health Board is Robert Kiley. He explains how this poison grows in food that is not stored properly.
Botulism is caused by a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum, which produces a toxin. The toxin produced is one of the most deadly toxins known to man. It's produced when spores, the best way to describe a spore is like a seed. When spores from Clostridium botulinum start to grow, the bacteria or the spores themselves aren't dangerous, it's the toxin they produce while they're growing. You'll find spores in the muck on the seabed, you'll find them in animals' intestines and stomach contents, you'll find spores in mud on the beach, you'll find spores practically everywhere. Botulism spores are universal.
How do you know if you've been poisoned by botulism? Dr. Earl Kirby of the Inuvik General Hospital explains.
The signs and symptoms of botulism are dependent on the absorption of the botulinum toxin by the patient. The toxin is ingested in the food that the person eats, and it goes into the gastrointestinal tract, is absorbed into the blood, And then it has its effects by preventing the transmission of nerve impulses from the nerves to the muscles, and this causes a type of paralysis. This paralysis begins initially in the eyes, the muscles of the eyes, and also the muscles of the mouth. And eventually it can affect the muscles of the arms and legs, and especially the muscles of respiration. And this has the effect of causing the person to not be able to breathe.
Medical care is the only treatment that will stop the toxin from causing advanced symptoms in the patient. It's important to understand that home remedies will not cure this type of food poisoning.
If someone suspects they have botulinum poisoning, the most important thing that they can do is get to the nursing station or the hospital as quickly as they can, because the most important factor in treating this disease is to get the antitoxin into the patient as rapidly as possible before the poison has a chance to affect the person's nerves and muscles.
Much of the food in the north is still prepared traditionally, on the land. But the botulism spores also exist everywhere. So how can traditional food be prepared and stored so this poison does not grow?
There are two major preventive measures for preventing botulism. If either one is done correctly, botulism spores can't grow and can't produce the toxin. The first and most important tends to be temperature control. If the product is stored at 3 degrees Celsius or lower, 37 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, botulism spores can't grow and can't produce the toxin. The second preventative measure is not allowing an anaerobic environment. In other words, allowing air into the product. This can be accomplished in a number of ways. First of all, don't store your C-mammal products in green garbage bags. Don't store them in sealed plastic containers where air can't get at them. If a product is stored in oil, stir it frequently. Remember, the spores themselves aren't harmful, but it's the toxins they produce.
In earlier times, elders taught the people how to store and handle their food properly. This was before metal and plastic containers were used. Inuvik elder Billy Day tells us more.
Many years ago, food was stored, like I said, some of it, some people just dug down to the permafrost and left meat and muktak, whatever fish, on the permafrost where it stayed cool. Some people dug holes way down into the permafrost where meats and things like that, fresh meat, would stay frozen. And for traveling many years ago, for containers, they used whale stomachs. They would take the whale stomach out and clean it. And on a large whale, the stomach is quite big, and they would use the stomach to put muktak, sometimes the raw muktak. They would put dry fish, dry meat and stuff into it, and then they would fill this up with oil to preserve it. And these things they used, these kinds of containers they used for when they were going to travel.
When traditional foods are prepared for storage, it's very important to understand what botulism is and how to prevent it. It's a deadly poison that grows in food not stored properly. These are some of the kinds of foods botulism comes from. Home canned meats and vegetables, vacuum-packed smoked or barbecued fish, whale, seal, or walrus stored in oil or airtight containers, and fermented fish eggs. To stop this poison from growing in canned meat and vegetables, pressure cook them for about 20 minutes at 121 degrees Celsius. Keep vacuum-packed fish frozen. Open the package when you start to thaw it. Store whale, seal, and walrus in a very cool place. The temperature should never be warmer than 3 degrees Celsius. Put it in a bowl or bucket with a clean cloth on top. This will allow air to get in. If you put these meats into oil, stir it a lot and keep it at cool temperatures. You can't tell if the food has botulism. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. If you eat food that has botulism, you'll likely get sick in about a day. Your mouth and throat will ache. You'll feel weak and dizzy. Breathing will be difficult. And if you don't get medical treatment, you will stop breathing. The first thing to do is to see a nurse or doctor right away. The antitoxin is the only known cure for botulism poisoning. If you remember a few important things, you can save yourself and your family from getting botulism. Let's see what you remember. Botulism is a poison from food not stored properly. True or false? True. Botulism toxin will form if the storage temperature is above 3 degrees Celsius and the botulism spores are present. Botulism can stop you from breathing. True or false? True. The advanced stages of botulism poisoning will cause you to have a hard time breathing and will eventually cause your lungs to stop working. Botulism poisoning comes from caribou meat. True or false? False. Caribou meat will not cause botulism unless you dip it in sea mammal oil that has the botulism toxin present. Botulism poisoning comes from muktuk or seal stored in plastic bags or airtight plastic containers. True or false? True. Placing your muktuk or seal meat in airtight buckets or plastic bowls can cause botulism under the right circumstances. If you think you have botulism poisoning, you should tell a nurse or doctor right away. True or false? True. The only cure for botulism is an antitoxin. It has to be given to you by medical personnel. You can tell if food has botulism by looking at it, tasting it, or smelling it. True or false? False. Botulism will not make food look different, taste different, or smell different. That's why it's so important to prepare and store your food properly. Botulism can be cured. True or false? True. Botulism can only be cured with the antitoxin, but in some cases, if the treatment comes too late, it can cause death. It's important to keep stored food very cool and to let air get at it. True or false? True. Properly preparing and storing your food is the only way to prevent botulism poisoning from forming in your food. Those are the facts about botulism. But as elders Charlie and Persis Gruben tell us, attitude is also important.
Inilagalo Inuit ikit pailuting muna bluy nakiksatik tukba maik pangnigain matok fluid kang masit suna pekalo yan nakip suna pekalo kilaluak tayo may lani swin nalip kaklo ingilaan right tayo batikyo dito amadjok sabak pangnigat kilaluak matok fluid.
It's hoped that the insight and knowledge of the elders, in partnership with health professionals, will result in sound information regarding the prevention and handling of foods associated with botulism. Eating traditional foods is important, both culturally and nutritionally. To enjoy these foods to their fullest, proper preparation and storage is a must. The hard lessons, knowledge, and experience of our elders, from long ago to present day, should always be remembered and used. The techniques and principles used before the invention of plastic pails and bags still hold true and are very effective in the prevention of botulism. Looking to our elders for knowledge on how best to prepare and store foods is still very important. It's no coincidence that medical information of modern day reflects these same techniques and principles. The only difference is how they're presented, one being traditional and practical, the other technical and scientific. Remember, use this information wisely. You are the elders of the future.
All the teams that are registered have contacted me, and we've drawn up a schedule for the first day, but working on Saturday and Sunday in the playoff round.
How many teams have signed up this year, and what do you think of the competition will be?
There's 8 teams this year. There's Sacs, Polytech, Tuck Huskies, Frontech Lightning, Northwest Tel Rustlers, the Klavic, and Tuck Old Timers. And there's 4 strong teams that's going to be in there for sure, like the Frontech, Northwest Tel Huskies, and Tuck. It's going to be good, for the other teams to get involved. Be good competition. Every year, all the teams get better. I know that for sure. We have A and B division. We just kind of divided them up because we got 8 teams this year, and the divisions will play off in their own division, and the playoff starts Sunday, which be the first place team in each division will play the second place team in the other division. And this year we've gone with, in the playoff round, if there's a tie, we'll have a 10-minute overtime. If it's still tied, we're going to have a shootout. And the teams must designate 5 shooters before the game on paper. It's the only thing that's different. I just hope that everybody comes for a good time, and we try to promote sobriety amongst hockey players, and we want people to come and have a good time, and ask all the hockey to play hard, play clean, and meet some old friends, make some new ones. Well, it's going to be same as last year, $3 a game, or a $20 weekend pass, and $1 per game for those children 10 and under. Well, this is the 5th year, and at the beginning it was sort of, you knew who was going to win. But in the last 2 years, you really don't know who's going to win now. You have some really strong teams that pick up local players, but right now it's, this year you can't say who's going to win. Like in the past, you'd say, oh, one of these 2 teams are going to win for sure. But this year there's 4 pretty good teams, which is good to see, because that's what we're working towards, better better hockey players in this region. Since we started, I've seen some young guys that were watching on the side who are now playing and who are pretty good. And, and after the tournament, I see some kids playing beside the fire hall there, and they're saying, I'm going to play for these guys when I grow up. I'm going to play these. We have a 16-year-old limit. You have to be 16 years old to play in a tournament. We leave it open for anybody, but the rules state that you have to have, you can have 3 non-natives on your team, but this is open to anybody. Like the Tuck old timers have entered the team, and I know a portion of them, and they're about the same age as me, so it's open to anybody that wants to play or take a risk at contact hockey. Well, we hope to have the competition level better than last year, and the fan support. Like I invite all the fans from Tuck and Paulatuck, Sax, Aklavik, and anybody that wants to come and watch good hockey, come up to the arena and spend some time with us, get to know the hockey players, and meet some old friends. Like I said, it just should be a good weekend.